What if Snape never had to die in the Harry Potter movies? Would things turn out differently? Let's go ahead and explore that today. Some claim Snape is the most important character in Harry Potter, and while it's not easy to fully back this claim, he's certainly one of the most beloved characters of the franchise. The Potions Master was killed by Voldemort, who wanted to claim ownership of the Elder Wand. As soon as Snape died, Harry's world was turned upside down. But what if that professor never had to die? To fully understand the implications of Snape's survival, we need to go way back to when Dumbledore was still alive. Back to his decision to wear Marvolo Gaunt's ring. When the headmaster became gravely ill after putting on the cursed ring, he knew that his time was limited. Even as his end approached, Dumbledore orchestrated a plan to ensure his death would serve a greater purpose. That purpose was to deceive Voldemort into thinking that Snape was his most loyal servant. The Potions Master could prove his loyalty by being the one who killed Dumbledore. To ensure this, Dumbledore and Snape concocted a master plan. If the situation required it, Snape would be the one to end Dumbledore's life. But this understanding would never be required if Snape never had to die in the plot, which means Dumbledore would be alive as well. Sure, the headmaster was sick, but Snape makes the best juices. In fact, cursed by Marvolo Gaunt's ring, the headmaster's health would have rapidly deteriorated if Snape hadn't found a magical stopgap. This mysterious potion extended his life for a whole year, which wouldn't have been possible without Snape. Now, if Snape's death could be avoided, it would only be by somehow proving that he's not the owner of the Elder Wand. This could be done by preventing Draco from disarming Dumbledore, which would in turn lead to Dumbledore surviving. The headmaster may not have killed Draco with his wand, but he definitely wouldn't have spared the Death Eaters that followed. I mean, that's just not who Dumbledore is beneath those white angelic robes and his peaceful person, but that's in an ideal world, and Hogwarts is anything but. While the implications of Snape's survival mainly affect past events, it could also influence future ones in unexpected ways. Snape's death ultimately bought Harry crucial time to devise a plan to defeat Voldemort. Had Snape not died, Harry would have remained vulnerable, as Voldemort would eventually discover that Harry was the true master of the Elder Wand. By killing Snape, Voldemort lived under the false assumption that he had everything figured out, believing that by killing the previous owner of the Elder Wand, he had gained its full loyalty. This delusion led Voldemort to continue focusing on Snape's death and the Elder Wand, buying Harry time as Voldemort considered Harry a secondary target. No matter how hard Dumbledore and Snape tried to protect Harry during their lives, their deaths ultimately provided a kind of protection that, though tragic, may have been more effective in the long run. Dumbledore's death set events into motion that led to Voldemort's overconfidence and his focus being diverted, while Snape's death contributed to Harry becoming an afterthought for Voldemort. While this sacrifice did save Harry in the story, Snape's survival would have made Voldemort's downfall much quicker and smoother. After Dumbledore's death, Harry had basic knowledge about the Horcruxes, but was largely lost in how to proceed. He misunderstood the significance of his own connection to Voldemort, especially regarding the piece of Voldemort's soul actually inside of him. Harry believed that he had to be killed by Voldemort to destroy that part of the Dark Lord's soul and thus defeat him. Now, if Snape had been alive, he could have clarified this for Harry. With his deep knowledge of the dark arts and legilimens, Snape could have explained that Harry was not required to sacrifice himself to defeat Voldemort. A piece of Voldemort's soul inside him was a Horcrux, not his entire being, and it could be destroyed without Harry having to die. Snape's guidance would have provided Harry with the understanding that he could live but still rid the world of Voldemort's soully fragment. It's safe to say that if Snape hadn't died, the events of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows wouldn't even exist. I mean, finding the Horcruxes would have taken mere days with Snape's help and knowledge. And I mean, that's not something producers would have liked, right? Harry and his friends lost lots of lives during the Battle of Hogwarts, but if Snape had survived, I mean, the outcome could have been very different. Snape was a master of occlumency, meaning he could block Voldemort from reading his mind at will. Additionally, he was one of the most skilled legilimens in the wizarding world, second second only to Voldemort himself. These abilities, combined with his expertise in potions and his strategic thinking, would have made Snape an incredibly powerful and valuable asset in the battle. He could have used Legilimens to predict Voldemort's moves and even helped Harry block him off. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Voldemort uses Legilimency to try and extract information from Harry's mind. For example, when Harry is captured in the Forbidden Forest, Voldemort uses Legilimency to search Harry's thoughts to try and understand why Harry is willing to go to his death. Voldemort had a lot of information to work with during the battle, which resulted in so many deaths. Snape could have avoided all of that and more, setting Voldemort 10 steps behind in the battle. Besides blocking information, Snape was an excellent healer, thanks to his potions, that could have helped slow down deaths and save valuable wizards. But that's not all. Snape was one of the few powerful wizards who were able to create lethal spells from scratch. He created Sectum Sempra, among many other spells. Imagine what he could have done when it came to saving hundreds of kids. He probably would have whipped up a spell that turns Death Eaters into harmless toads. It's safe to assume that he may have been able to create and use powerful spells during the battle to beat Voldemort and all of his minions. While Snape's survival could have benefited lots of people, Draco would have likely been the one who benefited the most. In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Snape took an unbreakable vow with Narcissa Malfoy, Draco's mother, to ensure Draco's safety and to help him with the dangerous task Voldemort assigned him. Had Snape lived, Voldemort wouldn't have been able to turn a snappy kid like Draco into a scaredy cat. Snape's guidance and protection would have spared Draco from many of the burdens that he faced, including the guilt and danger associated with his mission to kill Dumbledore. While all of these are mere speculations, there is a solid theory that implies that Snape actually never died. The fact that Snape doesn't appear when Harry uses the Resurrection Stone, and that his body is never found or mentioned after the Battle of Hogwarts, raises questions about his true fate. Despite all the sacrifices Snape made to protect Harry and his loyalty to Dumbledore, he doesn't appear with the other spirits when Harry summons the dead, and his corpse is conspicuously absent from the battlefield. This leads to the theory that Snape wasn't truly killed by Nagini's venom, but rather paralyzed or rendered comatose by it. Given Snape's expertise as a potions master and his role as a spy, it seems unlikely he wouldn't have prepared for such an eventuality, possibly even haven't taken an antidote to protect himself from being killed by Voldemort's snake. I mean, this theory makes a lot of sense to me, considering it does seem like something Snape would probably do. I mean, go and escape the muggle noise by spending a simple life on a beach somewhere, sipping mimosas in his black cape. But what do you think would have happened if Snape lived? Or do you think that our beloved potion master is actually alive? Go ahead and let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more content.